Okay, so one of the biggest challenges that most people face in this coaching business game is actually getting people to listen to their message, to listen to their content, to join their email list, to follow them. And there's this movie, I think it's called Field of Dreams, where this guy builds a baseball stadium so he can his deceased father will revisit him and whatever, and they'll make up and everybody comes to the baseball stadium. And the saying was birthed from that movie, if you build it, they will come. I don't know if that's actually where the saying came from, but people always talk about this saying and that movie in relation to business and marketing, so I'm doing the same now. And the truth is, if you build it in this coaching online business world, they won't come. They will not come. Nobody is going to just beat down your door to buy your course, to join your program, to comment on your video, or whatever. And I really wish somebody would have told me this from day one, because it took me years to figure this out. And I would spend all this time on my website and my funnel and my course and the podcast I was creating or whatever, and then put it out there and it'd be crickets, or just my mom and my aunt would like it. Hi, Mom and Aunt, if you're watching, biggest fans, and my mother-in-law too. And that was like the extent of, the engagement I got. And to this day, it's still my biggest weakness. I don't have a huge following or a huge email list or anything like that. That's where I'm putting a lot of my focus right now, is on a strategy that helps me to grow my listenership, to basically take what I'm saying and put it in front of more people, put it in front of more eyes and ears. Because you can have the best message in the world, but if you don't put a megaphone to that message, nobody will hear it. Like Simon Sinek says, I have the book around here somewhere, but the Start With Why book, he talks about Martin Luther King's speech a lot. And he's like, if he didn't have a microphone, only the people in the front row would have heard him, instead of 250,000 people that gathered that day and could hear him because of the amplification. You have to have that in your business. And sitting there and just posting on Facebook or writing another email to your tiny list or whatever probably won't do anything. And if that happens, then your business will fail. You'll never get to share that message. You'll never get to make a difference in the world. And you'll never get to do what you would love to do full time for a living, make an impact, have a great lifestyle, all those things. So along with the other stuff you're doing, you have to have what they call an attraction strategy of some kind. So in other words, let's say you do want to focus on growing an email list. Well, just writing great emails to that list, let's say you have 100 people on there or 500 or whatever, just writing emails to that list of existing people is only half the battle. And I would argue it's not even half the battle. Most of the focus, because that won't take you all day either, most of your focus should be on, how can I get more emails every day? And set a goal. I want to get at least 10 new email addresses a day. That would be 300 a week, right? That's not 300 a month. That would be pretty significant. You get 3,600 a year, and maybe you could double it to 20 once you figured out strategies, perfected things. And that would ensure that over time, your audience got bigger and bigger and bigger. Therefore, you had more people to talk to about the different things. If you're going to release a weekly podcast or something, each week, If you get 70 new people on your email list, then that's 70 more people that will hear next week's podcast episode than this week's. I started a podcast a few years ago, and it was like crickets for a long time. And only after maybe 2.5 years of doing it every single week did it start to, like, actually, I could tell, like, not only could I log in, I could see it was getting like 1,000 downloads per episode at that point, which is not a ton. There's plenty of people who get multiples of that. But for me, it made a difference in I would actually get 2 or 3 clients every month that would pay me like a premium price to work with me just from that podcast because, they liked it. The thing is I never did anything to grow the podcast. Like, I just put episodes out there. As a result, it took me nearly 3 years to actually have people start saying, "Hey dude, I liked that podcast episode. Hey, can we talk about working together?" Close to 3 years. Do you want to wait that long for your content to start resonating? And it might take longer. It depends on how good you are at making content. I just wish somebody would have told me back then, like, sure, Brian, pick the podcast as your platform, but also have at least half of your attention focused around a strategy that will grow the listenership. So it's not just about putting out content. It's not just about getting results for clients or having a really good program. It's like this whole business is kind of like an assembly line. You got to put new leads, essentially, new prospects, new ears and eyes on the front end of that assembly line all the time, and at an ever-growing rate, ideally. So maybe you get 10 emails a day now, and 6 months from now, you're up to getting 20 a day, and then 6 months from then, you're up to getting 30 a day, and so it's growing at a compound rate. That's what I always wanted. When I got into this business, I thought that followers and subscribers and all that was like the ticket, which in some ways it is. It's just in terms of like, in getting engagement and making sales. So I kind of knew, I saw the power for exponential growth, when you start publishing and 10 people find out, then 100 people find out, then 1,000. But for whatever reason, I just took my eye off that ball and I focused on meaningless things, like changing the theme of the color of my website that nobody was ever going to. So if you build it, just know that they will not come. You have to do something that brings them there. I'm learning paid advertising right now because that's my method of choice for getting exposure. I'm willing to set up funnels where I can buy exposure and liquidate the cost by selling products. That's a method that I think will work for me. For you, it could be what is considered a good method as well is doing like guest interviews. Doesn't matter if it's a podcast or maybe you have a Facebook group and you bring in other experts and you interview them live to your group and then tell them to broadcast it over to their group or share it with their group and link back to your group. Point being is you're borrowing their eyeballs, and now those people are finding out, oh, there's another group where this other person adds value. I'll join that too. That is, it's kind of like the JV approach, because there's other people out there who have already built a big audience of the exact type of client that you would love to have. We know that's true, right? You can just get on Instagram or YouTube or whatever platform, put in some keywords that relate to your market or your ideal client or niche, and you're going to find other accounts or pages or whatever it is where they've already got 100,000 subscribers or followers or whatever, or 1 million. And so instead of building from scratch that same audience like they did in a cold fashion where you're just posting and hoping someone finds you and using hashtags and all that stupid commenting on everything, it's faster to leverage the eyeballs of other people by joint venturing with them. And it doesn't have to be selling each other's programs. It can just be having them on your Instagram live for like a little split screen Q&A. All their followers see that they're live. They click that, and then they see your account. They follow you. You borrow from their exposure. Those two methods, paid advertising and JVing, are my top two recommendations as an attraction strategy to grow your following. The third way is just by posting things organically and, commenting and DMing and saying, comment with the word, money down below, and I'll send you this free training. And then, you get in people's DMs and you get their emails, and each time you do it, you get 10, 15, 20 emails. That's kind of a grind, but that works for people as well. If you don't want to like JV with anyone, you just want to be on your own island and you don't want to do paid ads, then you can do that. But the overall point is to have a majority of your focus around marketing, growing something. And another thing to remember is to not be spread among 6 different platforms. Don't try to grow a YouTube channel and an Instagram account and a Facebook group and an email list and a podcast all at the same time, because you'll end up growing none of them. They all take a decent amount of work and focus, and there's more to it once you get involved. And there's courses and programs you can buy. I'm not selling them because I'm not good enough at these things yet, but there's plenty of courses you can buy on those specific things. And I wish I would have just picked like the one platform that felt the most natural to me, and not only published on it regularly from day one, but also like learned from the best of the best how to attract new eyeballs onto that platform, because I'd have a huge audience, and instead I don't. So I hope that helps some of you guys. If you're out there and you're like, I'm posting, nobody's listening, nothing's working, then it's probably because you're not spending any time on an attraction strategy to get people. It's like when I play guitar, and I played in bands and solo gigs and stuff back when I lived in Nashville, because that's what was cool to do there, right? Be a musician. And I started teaching guitar lessons back then. And, sure, I put up like a Craigslist post or whatever, but nobody knew that I was teaching guitar lessons, or had, just because I declared that I was doing it, nobody knew about it. No, I had to print out like 100 crappy little flyers, with the phone numbers on the bottom that you can tear off. And I went around town with my wife, who was my girlfriend back then. We went all around like a couple of the college campuses and stapled those flyers to the telephone poles. And it felt like a silly thing, but it worked. I got a couple of students from putting those flyers up at least. And, and then those students would refer me someone else. And so then like the referral thing starts to pick up. But I had to do some grunt work to get the word out about my service. And, before that, I sealed driveways in our neighborhood. I cut lawns, like landscaping. I've had all kinds of hustles, growing up as a kid. And I always, hung up those flyers everywhere. That was my method. Put them on people's mailboxes. I'd drive through the neighborhood and tape one outside of every single person's mailbox, or put it in their mailbox, even though it was illegal. Come get me, USPS. But it worked, And I got lawn jobs, landscaping jobs, but I had to do I had to do some work to get the word out about the services that I wanted to sell. You have to do the same thing. You can't, and just posting on a platform is not doing the work, because only people that are going to see it are the existing followers you have, and it's probably just your high school friends, and it's not enough to make a difference. Cool. Hope that was helpful, guys. If you enjoy this podcast and you could do me a little favor, just scroll down. It takes like 2 minutes. Leave me a quick review. It really helps to boost it in the rating so other people can hear it. And thank you guys for tuning in. Here's to your success. I'll see you soon.